Welcome back, My Night Outers. This is My Night Out Radio. This is DJ Psycho Eddie. In studio, we have Chuck from Senior Discount.
Woohoo! I had to drive all the way over here from Tony Jones' show just now.
It was a hell of a commute, wasn't it?
I just barely made it in time.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can always catch us at MyNightOutRI.com for all the recent events, upcoming events. Also, check us out on Facebook /MyNightOut. If you want to get in touch with us, you want to get on like Chuck has, we are on Verizon.net, MyNightOutRadio at Verizon.net. Well, Chuck, like I do to a lot of people, I'm going to put you on the spot right off the bat. Restaurants.
Yeah.
I'm a fat guy.
Yeah.
This is no secret. I can't hide this if I tried.
You gonna ask me my favorites?
I'm going to ask you where you've been in the last week.
Last week? Oh my God.
That's right.
Where did we go, Gina?
Is my mic on?
No.
Because I can talk about
Yeah, it is.
My girlfriend Gina is here.
Gina from Chuck's girlfriend from Senior Discount is also in studio. And
Apparently. We went to Red Stripe on Monday for the first time.
How was that?
It was really good. I got the Red Stripe grilled cheese, and it had prosciutto and pears in it, and it was excellent. And they had some a fried chicken appetizer that came with polenta French fries, and they were excellent.
Now, where are you guys based out of? Because that's where I'm going to...
Okay. I live on Main Street in Warren.
Okay.
So I'm right down the street from...
You're on the other side of the state.
Yeah.
Back on lunch.
We're near Trafford's, which is really good, which is on Water Street. Have you been there?
No.
Oh, it's new. It started like last summer or maybe the summer beforehand.
True to form, as a Rhode Islander, I do not venture on the other side of the bay unless I absolutely have to.
I did. I went to 60 new restaurants last year.
Wow.
I kept track of it for my podcast, and at the end of the year, I did my favorite dish from each one. Yeah, I live in Warren, so I went to Simone's in Warren, which opened kind of like in the past, I'd say, year on Monday night with Gina, and it was or Thursday night, and it was pretty good. They had some chowder that was a little bit clearer than I like my chowder, and I went to Somerset Creamery this week for the first time, which is my favorite ice cream place around the area. I know it's in Massachusetts, but yeah, so that's where I've been this week.
Everything?
I think so. No.
I don't know. Sure.
I don't know. We like to go to a lot of new places. I love Mexican. That's my thing.
I like Mexican myself. Personal favorite, right in downtown, well, right just outside of Oneyville, as you're heading up Plainfield Street, Rancho Grande.
Yep, I've been there. It's awesome.
Now, there's also...
It's kind of weird inside, right?
Yeah, you walk in, you literally walk into a table.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the food there's amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
The chef, the owner, and his mom, or the mom and her son that own it, they do a lot with Rhode Island food fights.
Yeah.
The mom, Sorry, I cannot remember her name. I'm horrible with names.
Yeah.
That's why I have yours written down right here.
Yeah.
They do a lot with Rhode Island food fights. Every time I go in there, especially because I walk around Providence in clown makeup quite a bit, she recognizes me. She puts me in the corner, I think, to hide me so I don't freak out the other customers. But she always takes very good care of me.
That's great.
She does recognize
You're
me.
scaring the children.
That's great. I love Rhode Island food fights. I already signed up for the coffee throwdown for August.
Yes, me too.
Excellent. I love that stuff. I think it's a great idea.
But yeah, if you actually, let's get adventurous. Of course, you've done the Oneyville, New York system.
Yep.
I'm going to go the other direction on Plainfield Street. You round the bend past Nunnaconnecut Hill. There's a little place called El Paisano.
I have not been there.
Guatemalan and Ecuadorian food.
Oh, yeah? What is that like? What does that mean?
Food from Guatemala and Ecuador.
I was hoping for a signature dish, maybe, but
it's very similar to the Mexican.
Yeah.
Spicy foods, grilled meats,
Yeah.
and what have you. But the way they do it is completely different than you're going to have at a Mexican restaurant.
Right, okay.
Which, you got to have variety, and I'll try anything. Another one that's really popular, I love it, is right downtown. You know the Fat Squirrel?
yes.
It is the Fat Squirrel. It is also Halfway Tree.
Oh, no, I've never even heard of that.
It's a Jamaican restaurant.
Oh, man.
If you like the jerk chicken, the beef patties, whatever, go there. The food is absolutely amazing.
That's great. That's great to know.
I believe they're also sponsors for the Coalition Radio, which Tony, our sound guy, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Jones in studio, taking care of us, making my golden voice sound that much better. One of his other shows, the Coalition, they are a sponsor.
Nice.
And I'm not getting paid for it, and I'm endorsing the place.
Yeah. That's great. That's great to know.
So, tell me a little bit about Senior Discount. If I've never heard of you before, tell me, where'd you guys start? And
well, this is what I'll tell you about. So, we were three silly kids who loved music and loved going to local shows in the early 2000s. Decided to start a band when we didn't play instruments. We took 2 years, learned them poorly, but then we learned them better in the past 11 years of us being a band. We've been around for 11 years now.
You're actually at the tail end when sucking as a band was actually a badge of honor.
Yeah, it's hard to be in the punk scene.
Wait, you mean it's not?
Well, it's hard to be part of the punk scene and being proud of like playing well. A lot of bands are like, you're supposed to suck if you're in a punk band, and I'm like, no, you're not. You don't have to. NoFX doesn't suck. NoFX is awesome.
Well, there is a band I'm quite a fan of called Crinkly Ass Crackers.
Yeah. Okay.
They, for the longest time, their drummer was a styrofoam head in front of a snare drum.
I like that.
And
that's performance art.
When they actually learned their instruments at shows. They wouldn't practice. They had a wonderful song called Baby Parmesan, which it's got so much wrong with it, but it's absolutely beautiful.
That's great.
But if you ever get a chance to check them out, I don't think they're even around anymore, so you're going to have to hit YouTube.
Well, yeah. I don't know if you know this, but Dave from the legendary band Crinkly Ass Crackers also played in Necrophiliac Meat Circus and is now a member of Tony Jones and the Cretin 3.
Wow. It all comes back around.
Is that we scooped him up.
Is that promotion, demotion, or a lateral move?
Actually, that's his very guitar in the corner over there.
Oh, that's great.
Apparently not practicing it because it's here.
That's great. Yeah, so, I mean, we started out as a punk band really influenced by a lot of the mainstream punk rock like Blink-182 and Green Day, as well as bands like NoFX and Against Me and Rancid and stuff like that. But we quickly kind of diversified, and we made comedy videos. At first, they were really loose, kind of more sketch-based and maybe more prank-based. We did a lot of pranks. We still do pranks. But now, the videos we do are more episodic. They're kind of like a TV show. The most recent one we actually did as a premiere at the AS220 in Providence, and we did a new whole video that's it's just like a sitcom. It's multiple storylines. It was based around the fact that we had two new guys, and we were putting them through senior discount orientation and teaching them how to be in the band. And it's one of my favorite videos. I love it. And we film it. It's just like a sitcom, like 25 minutes or so. Multiple storylines, good stuff. And so we started doing that a long time ago. A little bit more jackassy at the time. A lot of stunts. And eventually we also got into podcasts too. But we basically tried to find ways to promote the band to people who, it's hard, especially in the Rhode Island music scene. You're like, oh, another band I have to worry about? Another band that wants me to go to their shows? It's like, well, how can we be a little bit different? And we had these other interests. So it's like, yeah, let's integrate them. Why not?
Well, you just brought up a hot button word.
What's that?
Promotion.
Yeah.
Promotion is probably one of the biggest controversial topics in the Rhode Island music scene right now.
I agree with that.
Where do you weigh in, or do you want to weigh in? I mean,
I'll
don't
weigh
get me
in.
wrong. There's a lot of people that are staying purposely quiet because they have a lot to lose.
Right. The way that I've always looked at promotion is, when we play shows or we come out with a new album, I think the best way to promote it is to do things that don't cost anybody money, that add value to that thing. So if we have a new show with Anti-Flag, we play with Anti-Flag, and we came out with this video that I was talking about to promote the show, where the main crux of the storyline is like, we have these new members, we want to make a new senior discount video to promote for our show at Anti-Flag. We have to get them, up to speed and in the band. We put that up on YouTube. Everyone pushes it on social media. Hopefully people see it and laugh, and that warms them to us, or maybe even raises awareness of the show in a way that maybe just posting the event wouldn't. And with that kind of stuff, I think it's really hard to argue. It's really hard to be like, hey, that's negative. You didn't pay, you didn't charge me anything. It didn't cost me anything. And you guys put together another project.
And how dare you entertain me for free?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Same thing with the podcast every week. We do a podcast every week. It's me and my buddy Brad. chuckandbradpodcast.com, and it was birthed out of the idea of wanting to have new content for the Senior Discount website. So every week we do a podcast where I plug Senior Discount shows, he plugs his improv shows, and we talk to local musicians. We talk about, things in the media like Jurassic World, anything that's current, or things that happen in our lives. And we use that as promotion so that, maybe the episode is called Chuck and Brad Get Arrested. And when you tune in to be like, how did these guys get arrested? You know, the first thing you hear is Senior Discount was going to play with Anti-Flag in 2 weeks at this thing. And yeah, when it's free and when it just adds value or kind of stretching your event or your release to another thing, I can't really see any negativity with that.
And the most important part of that is that it's fun.
That's part of it too, is that the stuff that we do, I think, adds an element of personality that you might not get. Like if you hear about a new band and they're the best band in Rhode Island, they're so tight, they're great musicians, and their name is Krusty and the Wrestlers, and they're like, hey, come to our show, it's Krusty and the Wrestlers, we're playing at the Met on this day, we play this type of music. Like that's not really intriguing, it's not really interesting. And to say, you know what, we're playing at this show, and we also did this 10-minute comedy video, this sketch video. We did this podcast. It's an interview about our experience playing this show or this festival or this stuff. When you bring that element of personality into it, I think it's a lot easier to get behind any type of artist. And I think it's fun.
Okay, well, you're bringing up a couple of bands that you play with. Are there bands that you play with regularly, like more so than others? Like if you go to,
sure,
whatever band A always plays with B and C.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have a regular group that you are really tight with, and shows just get that much better because you're with them?
I think that used to be the case a little bit more often. We used to play with the band Bad Larry, which was a ska band. It was great because we were a little bit more influenced by ska with our earlier stuff, and they were influenced by punk. So we had this punk ska band and the ska punk band. We would just kill these shows at the living room and have these very, very fun shows. We actually ended up covering one of their songs in our style and still play it sometimes. Them. Lem Lem Tennis Shoes was one of the bands we did that with. We played with Someday Providence. Arcadia Landing was another band we had those kind of shows with. But eventually, like, most of those bands died out. So now it's bands that are part of the punk scene, like the Down and Outs. Sound Off we play with, who is also on our big show that we're here to promote. That I'm here to promote. The Shorthanded Gold we play with occasionally. Sweet Babylon we play with. A lot of the punk and ska bands seem to stick together and play shows around Firehouse 13 and stuff like that. So we've played with all those bands like many times. I'd say that Sound Off is probably the band that we play with, probably because the lead singer of Sound Off is the lead guitarist in Senior Discount. Oh, okay. So he came convenient. Well, he came up as a Senior Discount fan and kind of reached us to us, was writing into the podcast and coming to Senior Discount shows. And he's like one of the most hilarious people I ever met in my life. His name is Eric Maxud, and he's very easy to get frazzled. One of our recent disagreements is that he believes that in the Providence Place Mall that you should wait in line at the kiosk to pay for your parking. Well, I'm like, why don't you just go to the exit and pay with your credit card? And he's very heated about it. We have a very heated discussion about it, and he's hilarious. He's a very strange guy. And because I know he's a good person at heart and he's a good guy and Sound Off is a good group of kids, we played our CD release show at Lupo's with Badfish, and I knew they were going to get another band, and I'm like, how about we get Sound Off to do the opening spot? They're good kids. Let's get them on. And so I reached out to Badfish's manager, and we got that happening. And also, this big anniversary show that we're doing at the Met on July 31st, they're the band that's actually direct support to us. So they're one of the bands that kind of helps us do that.
Very cool. Well, why don't we take a break here? Now, this is going to be very interesting. During the break, Tony is going to break out a rubber hose, and he's going to beat the hell out of me because I did not tell you who the first band was. The first song that we listened to on the way in.
Yep.
I'm docking your salary.
Take a zero off, I understand. Well, that first band was Miss Invader.
All right.
The name of the song was Ducks Ducking Duct Tape.
I like that. That's a good. I like it.
It was actually, if you remember the band, Big Dirty Nelson, Ty Gerard, very nice guy. He actually breaks one of the cardinal rules I have. If the more excited someone is handing you that free CD, the more it's going to suck.